Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Daisy Apparel. In today's video, I'm going to be using this black gingham fabric I just got at Hobby Lobby to sew a tiered maxi skirt. I think these skirts are super cute and I keep seeing them on Pinterest, and these will be a really quick and easy sewing project to do, and one that's perfect for summer. I'm excited, so let's get started. Here's a closer look at the black gingham fabric, which is really lightweight, which I think will be nice for the skirt to keep it all soft and flowy. So here, I've just wrote on a piece of paper the different measurements I'm going to need for the skirt. So first, I found how long I want the skirt to be from my waist, which for me was about 34 inches. So I know that each tier is going to be a third of that, which for me is 11.5 inches. Then each tier, the first tier, I have to add 2.5 inches to the top for the elastic casing, and then additionally the seam allowance for the bottom. So the tier's width is going to be 14.5 inches. The second tier, I'm just adding seam allowance. So my seam allowance is 1/2 inch on both the top and bottom. So in total, tier 2 is going to be a width of 12.5 inches. And then the bottom tier, tier 3, is going to be the top seam allowance plus the bottom seam allowance, which I give 1 inch because I roll up the hem. So it's going to be a total of 13 inches. Then for the length, for the first tier, it's just going to be my hip measurement plus seam allowance, which I made it a little bit looser, that way there's more room for it to flow. So it's, instead of doing my original hip measurement of 38 inches, I'm going to do 40 inches plus seam allowance. Then the second tier's width is going to be my hip measurement times 1.5, and the third tier's width is going to be my hip measurement times 2.25. And then all of these, I think, as for the first tier, I'm going to cut it in half. So it's 2 squares that are 20 inches long, and add more seam allowance. That way I can put in pockets. But now that I'm thinking about it, I might need to put pockets in the second tier instead. I'll show you what I do, but yeah. So some of these are going to be cut in half, then sewn together later after I add the pockets. And additionally for this project, I'm going to be needing some elastic for the casing. Then I just cut out this shape for the pockets. So this is like a general pocket shape I use. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to keep in mind when cutting out your pocket, you want it to be like big enough where you can get your hand through and then like hold like a phone or chapstick or whatever else it is inside. Then I just have 4 pieces of it cut out like this. And now that I'm done cutting out the pieces, I'm going to overlock all the edges. Which I don't actually have an overlocker, and if you don't have one either, that just means like you use a Z-stitch the outside of them. Now on the top tier of the skirt, I'm going to place the pocket pieces and sew them in place along the sides like so. Then sew along the edges of the top tier of the skirt, making sure not to sew the pockets closed and just go around them as shown. Then I'm going to iron, pin, and fold the top tier of the skirt into a waistline by folding it over by 1/4 inch and then by 2.5 inches, forming the casing for the elastic. Now I'm going to sew channels for the elastic, making sure they're thick enough to fit the elastic through them, making sure to leave space to insert the elastic. Now I'm going to insert the elastic using a safety pin, making sure the piece of elastic I cut fits snugly around my waist. I'm going to do this 3 times for each of the channels. Once the elastic's threaded through, I'm going to sew the 2 ends together like so. I'm also going to sew each tier of the skirt into a loop by sewing along the edges, which depending on how big your fabric is, you may have to do multiple pieces. Along the tops of the third and second tier, I'm going to sew gathering stitches, and then I'm going to pin it to the tier above it. Now I'm going to sew in place once it's all gathered like this. And now the tier gathered skirt is complete, so I'm going to pop in some footage of me wearing it. I'm I'm so happy with the way the skirt turns out. I think it's so easy and such a great beginner project. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you found it helpful. Please subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.